And
we're live.
we're live.
All right, so who wants to go first?
Yeah, Hunter's still in.
All right.
All right, so
Basically,
basically,
Hunter, would you mind
explaining this debate, please?
Yeah, you two will just be explaining the best transition and theology. That's it.
Or theocracy? Is that what is
So,
it? Theocracy. Crap.
I'm going for
Anyway.
the anti-theocracy side because
On
I think that
theocracy, Duncan, he thinks theocracy is the best.
it will.
Democracy is the best.
Bro, Braden's trying to start a call when we're doing this. All right, so basically, for further depth explanation, what's going to be happening here is Jonas will be going over his topics. So this is like a half formal, half normal debate. Jonas will be saying his topics and objections with theocracy, and I will be going against those. All right? Everyone fine with that?
So you can go first by explaining what theocracy is and why you support it.
All right, so theocracy is basically the idea that you can not, or I'm just going to go into plain what it is. Basically nationalized religion. Even if there is no government, it's enforced religion through some means of way, or through some means. So, like, yeah, that's basically the main definition, and I support it because I believe that small governments and anarchy cannot run properly if there is different religions. I believe that cultures can work because most cultures can get along, but I do not believe that religions can work together, as there is past where there have been small, even no governments, and there's still been fighting that was predesignated. So I believe that we cannot survive without those if we want to achieve a smaller, if not no government at all. That's why I believe that theocracy is the best way out.
All right. So my number one problem with theocracy is that you can't get theocracy without a you can't get global theocracy without a revolution, and a revolution is unethical as it kills people and in killing people, taking away their right to life is not ethical.
All right. So, would you like to debate on this topic like right now, or are you just going to go over your list of your objections?
No, we can debate.
All right. So, good. So you believe that it is unethical for a revolution, but I personally do not believe that theocracy needs a revolution to actually come to mind. I believe that the best process would be through democratically elected governments, socialist governments, which will work together to basically eliminate capitalism, if that's possible, or at least minimize it. And then from there, we would start implementing theocracy, so we can during a transitionary state, which I believe is required.
And
I do not believe it takes revolution.
Okay, so I disagree with the fact that afterwards implementing theocracy will work. I think that people won't secede to a nationalized religion, and it won't work just for the fact that there will be a stronger counter-revolution than the government, and during that transition period, the counter-revolution would have to be fought against, and which is number one, taking away people's right to life, and number two, taking away people's right to immigrate and their right to protest.
All right, I see where you're coming from, but so you went over multiple different points, but first off, you went over rights. Rights cannot be quantified, but that is not important for this debate. I believe that a counter-revolution would not be inevitable. Do you want me to bring up my Native American example? Because I found a way to loophole your original idea on it.
Go for it.
All right. So back then, when the Native Americans, when Europeans originally came.
When
Europeans
originally came to North America, all right, they wanted land. They wanted money, and they wanted to exploit the people. So what they did was they started a few wars. Now, those wars did not include the following of enforcing a religion. They did not include that at all. But what they did during those wars is people would start going towards the religion as they saw it be a better way. All right.
They did not enforce religion.
They did not. Well, I mean, it depends. What do you want to look at here? We could go the British, the French, the Spanish. I mean, this
a long path.
The Spanish enforced a religion.
I mean, yes, but even then, it still worked. I'm mainly going off how it did work without.
Well, I disagree that it works. I'm
going over the idea that let's say it was enforced in one area. There's other areas where it wasn't enforced, and I'm going off of how it would work without being enforced. But you can say your topic now.
So for setting laws in a theocracy, you would set them based on your religion, and I think that if you can't prove your religion, then the laws are set unjustly, and it wouldn't make sense.
All right, but this is an issue because of why or what? I see you have more obligations with enforcing the religion. But I would like to know the issue with that. I mean,
because if you cannot prove that God exists, then you don't have a right to enforce the rules.
This is a bit of a straw man, but you don't have the right to it. I mean, what do you mean? Like you can go over and let's say there's atheists who are agnostic atheists. All right, you can still enforce your religion. I mean, it's been done before. This is a bit of a straw man from the argument. I would like to go back onto the main topic of whether it would work with democracy or not. Because that was what we were originally going off of.
Yeah, sure. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you I'm the mod. So sorry, I'm late. That didn't work. Where we go?
Marks and Hunter's the mod.
He's not even in here, is he?
Yes, he is.
Oh well, he told me I was co-mod, so.
Interesting. All right. So, what would you like to go back over? We were going on that topic, but I think we trailed off a bit too far. So would you like to go back onto that topic, or would you pick another one? What exactly do you want to discuss here? Because we were discussing it and then we stopped.
I guess we could go on how you won't need a revolution for theocracy.
All right. So Brayden, do you mind muting, please?
Am I being loud?
No, but. I mean. Don't worry. Anyways. So I believe that it would not take a revolution because that's what you said we're going off of. I believe that it would not take either a revolution. I believe it could be done through democracy and through non-crushing ways that are elected in, whether it being democracy or whether it being just sponsored by the state. I believe it does not take a revolution to enforce or even get a religion to be nationalized.
Okay, now to enforce this national religion, you will need a state.
That's why we have.
Now how can you abolish it? Okay, so after you form this national religion, to uphold it, you will need a state. That way, you cannot achieve true anarchy.
I mean, we wouldn't
even need to state
after
after
it's originally
it's
done.
originally done. Like for example,
we'll go back to the Native Americans. All right, the Europeans
originally left.
Eventually left after a few.
It's not a theocracy though, and also a lot of them afterwards have changed their religion. You know, like it still goes there. You know, a lot of Native Americans are still Catholics because of the Europeans
That's my point.
But
After the Europeans
but it's not like every single one of them.
The Americans didn't enforce it. And as we can, well, I'm not debating on whether it should be fully enforced and everyone should see it because that's just not going to happen. I'm debating it should be enforced to be a majority of like 75 to 80%. Which if we look at modern Native Americans, it is around that average. Let me check this real quick. But I believe that it is at about 83 to 78% still Christian. After the Europeans left, even when it wasn't enforced. I mean, that just shows that it does stay without needing a government.
And it is increasingly going down. You can check.
Is it?
Yeah, the longer time passes, the more their religion changes, and which is why I think that this argument is flawed. If you look at his study, I think you should have even said that it is increasingly going down over the years.
I just found a source right here. As of 2018, Christianity amongst Native Americans has actually been growing by about 30%.
Okay, now pull it up.
30% faster rate originally.
I could put this
in the debate chat if you would like.
It would be under my other account.
Yeah,
because that's what I have on my computer, but there. And
this source
also says the average.
It says 90%
of Native Americans have at least a minimal connection. To zero.
Yeah.
If you
scroll down, you can see that it's about 70% are Christian, which it was a little off from what I originally said, but I mean that's still getting to my goal. And considering that it's still at a growing rate, I believe that it is plausible.
Okay, and where does it say that it's at a growing rate?
At the top. Wait, hold up. Let me scroll down.
At least
100,000 Native Americans live in 14 states across the USA. Less than 30% of them live on reservation land. And then if you
go back to
this, it's kind of in the title. Hold up. Let me see where it is about 90%.
I just had this. I know it's in the source. Yeah.
A high percentage, 90%, have minimal or no connection to Christianity.
But if you go deeper into the study,
do you see that?
Yeah. But if you go
so a high percentage, 90% of Native Americans have minimal or no connection to Christianity.
If you go deeper,
the study was in 2016.
The year of your statistics.
2016, and it's not even it may be biased since it's an evangelical website.
All right, here, let me see if I can. All right,
Native Americans and Christianity. Let me read this source real quick.
Which it was updated. Literally today. Yeah.
It still says, I don't know where you're.
I know.
High percentage, 90%.
I'm reading this
other source.
And it says
minimal. And if you go deep,
it says about 70%
of which
still believe in God just at a minimal.
Well, that doesn't mean that they believe in a Christian God.
No, like its source on Christianity.
That literally doesn't mean that they are believing.
Yeah, well, let's see the source. Because the first one you pulled up says that 90% don't disagree. Now, but now you're.
Yeah, I'm
still reading this. That is not it.
I will wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should go on to another subject while I find this. Because obviously there is going to be some sort of source. I swear I literally had one, but until I find it again, would you like to go on to a different subject? Because I know you have other contentions, and this one we can get back to if you would like. Are you there? Or,
you glitched out. What did you say?
Alright, would you like to? Would you like to go over a different subject for the minute? While I grab my source, or would you like to just wait? Because I believe we can hit at least 1 to 2 more childs. Subjects. Sorry. While we are doing this. So, would you mind giving me more contentions?
With Theocracy?
Yeah.
Other than it doesn't work.
Why would it not work?
Because if you look at the Native Americans, using the source that you just showed, it says that 90% of them do not believe in a
No. You're twisting what? No, you're twisting its words. It says at least 90%. Minimal of 90%. Believe or anywhere from believing minimum to not believing in Christianity. And then if you go deeper into that source, you can see that it later says of which 70% still believe in. Like it's still high. And I'll just search for this and hopefully I can get a calculator on it. What percentage of modern day Native Americans are Christian? I wish I am prepared, but what percentage? Alright. So let me finish reading the source. But it starts off with many Native Americans, 10% of which praise Christianity and their own gods. So I would need to go into the source before I fully use it. But until then, would you like to go on to a different subject, and then we can regroup back onto this one, or would you like to just stay and wait?
I guess we could go on to the fact that theocracy and communism are opposites or wouldn't work because in a theocracy you need a strong state to uphold separation by religion, or to uphold the fact that most people stay in that same religion.
Alright, so this is basically what we are going off of, but it's a little different because you believe that theocracy and communism is a contradiction, right? Yeah.
Not necessarily, but they wouldn't work together because in communism you abolish a state, but in theocracy you would need a stronger state. And also, in your transition phase, you said that it wouldn't be a quick thing. It would take a lot longer. You know, you said it would take multiple centuries to achieve the truth.
Centuries. I said it will take at least 2 to 4, maybe possibly 6 generations. But if we go back onto the Native Americans, which this is just for a small focus, we can see that basically once the Europeans came, they sat there for about 50 years before they left. Because this is when data was first being recorded. As you can see, it only took 2 generations for Christianity to spike in Native Americans.
And that's unethical because there was mass genocides created by the by the
Yes,
Europeans.
Yes, but that's not what we're arguing at the moment. We can go on to that in a minute.
Yeah, well,
so
what would you propose to stop a revolt?
That's not what we're debating at the moment. We can go on to that in a few seconds. But as I was finishing, as we can see, it will take time, but it will not take too much time. Because I was originally one of your arguments against it. Sorry. Now we can go to any other topic that you wished for.
Okay, well, how would you stop a counter revolt?
In what stage would the counter revolt
happen?
In the stage that you are enforcing a theocracy. That you're just now enforcing a theocracy.
I mean, there's a government, so
might as well fight it.
And how would you fight it?
Through military.
Sure.
Okay, so you.
What'd you say? Hunter.
I had connection issues. That's why I was gone for so long.
Okay, so if you use a military to silence people's words, that's unethical.
That's
unmoral, not unethical.
No, it's unethical. How is it not unethical?
How is it
not immoral? Not immoral because that's basically just saying, oh, the government's tyrannical, and that's an issue.
Well, you have no proof that the government being tyrannical is a bad thing.
When you have a tyrannical government, in most cases, there will be death, and death is unethical. You want to debate the fact that death is unethical.
Why is death unethical?
Why is death unethical?
Yes.
Because people lose their life.
But why is that unethical?
Well, because they lose. I don't see what you're saying. How is this not unethical?
Because you're basically going off that everyone has a right to life, right?
They do.
But then you would have to prove that human rights even exist.
I thought we were going into philosophy.
We're not. This isn't technically philosophy.
It's just.
It's a small subject that can easily be debated.
Like for example,
will you not have human rights in your communist society? Will you not have a right to life?
Well, no, I literally never said that. It's just what's happening here is first off that does not fully correlate to what we were talking about at the moment. And second off, you said, all right, well, if people are being killed by the government, that's unethical. And I want you to prove how that's unethical. And to do that, you would have to prove that human rights exist. I believe that they could, but I believe that they can only be handed out.
They are handed out. So are you going to hand out the right to life?
No.
You're not going to hand out the right to life.
I'll hand it out to Christians. I mean, that will be part of the deal. Like this is how a theocracy works. Like there are no rights for rebels. Like you don't even have to be Christian. You just have to be a rebel, and then you. Yeah. Like human rights don't even exist. They have to be handed out by the government.
Okay, well, I can disagree that. I can agree that that giving one group rights and then not giving the other rights is unethical. Because it hurts.
What is the issue with oppression?
Oppression?
Because you would need human rights to prove that there's an issue with oppression.
Of which human rights don't exist.
They cannot be handed out. They do not appear out of nowhere. They are just. Yeah, they don't exist. So therefore you cannot prove to me that it is unethical for that to happen. For oppression to happen. As there are no human rights to prove that it would be an issue.
Wait. So because human rights don't exist, oppression is unethical.
But no. Because human rights don't exist, oppression does not exist. Because oppression is when someone's rights are being taken away for the better of another person's right. But you would have to prove to me that human rights exist to say that. To use the word oppression, you have to prove to me that human rights exist, which you haven't.
Okay, unjust treatment. Treatment isn't. You don't have to use the basement of human rights to measure treatment.
Obviously you don't. But you have to tell me what's wrong with someone being treated quote unquote unfairly compared to another person. You have to tell me what's wrong with that. And with that, you cannot tell me that without proving that human rights exist. Yes, you can measure treatment, but you cannot prove that it is an issue.
So you're saying that treatment isn't an issue?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying we're going off the basis here that to prove something's unethical, you have to prove that there are human rights backing it up that would make it unethical, and you haven't proven to me that there are human rights or not. Once you prove that human rights exist, then we can go on to if it's ethical or not. But you would have to prove that human rights exist.
Okay. So, no, what I'm saying is that in this society, human rights will not exist. I'm asking you this. Will human rights exist?
Why is this important? I know it's a question, but I need to know, why do you need this question?
Because if you said that in your society human rights didn't exist, then that's unethical.
No. This is a massive loop. And it's not a loophole, it's just a loop. Alright. For something to be unethical, you have to prove that the person who is being oppressed, or who is being undermined, has rights, of which you have to prove human rights exist to do so. You have to prove to me human rights exist. That is the base for all of this.
Okay. So, did you find that Native American article?
Well, I think we're in the. I'm still reading it. But I think that we're in a topic here of which we cannot just stop in the middle. And that one I was looking for a source before we could stop. But you have to prove to me real quick. Or I can continue looking, of course, if we want to pause. But so far from what I'm seeing, which I'm not even finding any updated sources. The newest source I found was from today, and that had nothing about it. So all the sources I'm finding on rights are based off of morals. The two core. So right now you have to prove to me that human rights exist before you can correlate that morals matter.
Well,
or vice versa. I mean, you prove either one first.
Okay. So, should we go to another topic now?
Would you like to?
Okay.
I mean, bring up a topic.
You guys can talk about the pros and cons of reform and revolution, or have you already done that?
Well, we already
kind of.
So, respect for autonomy.
Oh.
That's one of the principles of ethics, right? Now, if I can prove that, respect for autonomy is an ethic.
Is it an ethic?
That
would technically be immoral because an ethic is basically does it benefit?
No, it's one of the 7 ethics.
All right, but
they are
all right. So let's say that does exist. So let's say that does exist. Still the basis of it, meaning that you would have to prove that before you can even prove ethics. Like if you continue looking in the ethics thing, one of the 7 principles. One of those, if not multiple, will directly correlate with human rights or morals, which correlate with human rights. Of which you've already shown me that one of those principles did correlate with morals.
Okay. So, if I can prove that ethics are universal, then I can prove that.
No, you wouldn't need to prove that ethics are universal. You just need to prove if morals are universal, which you could use ethics for. But keep going.
So, morals aren't universal because each person sets their morals on different things, and each person has different morals.
I mean, that's a bit of a straw man off our argument. But that's something that could actually be debated as well. Like no one really knows the true answer to that. So.
Well, yeah. If you made your own basic, if each person lives off a certain code of morals, then each person is going to live differently.
All right.
Alright.
This has to do with our
And this has to do with our argument because and how.
Well, because you disagreed with that.
How did I disagree?
How did I disagree with it?
Like, I do not remember.
Because I was saying that you said that you didn't have to prove that ethics were universal.
Yeah,
I just said you had to prove that some form of morals was universal.
Of which you can. By some form, you can prove human rights. But we would have to
Okay, so a universal code of ethics is a system of ethics that can apply to every sentient being, right?
Sure. Let's say that. I mean, I don't see how this will help you. Because it's just going back to where we were, but sure.
So, okay. And say that, ethical conduct put forward by society that is accepted by all rational adult individual beyond the boundary of country or culture or religion. Thus, ethics are universal, not relative.
All right, let's say ethics are universal. I mean, let's say that. All right. They cannot be universal without you proving that human rights are universal. As ethics depend.
Well, you just said ethics are universal.
Yeah. Let's say they are. I'm saying. Let's say ethics themselves are universal. You would still have to prove that the basis of ethics are universal to prove that ethics are universal. Like you're kind of dodging what I'm saying. I want you to prove that human rights exist before we can prove that ethics and morals even matter.
Okay, so I can prove that that forcing religion onto someone is immoral, but I don't see why proving that it is unethical is a reasonable thing.
All right, so
because then you have to prove to me that ethics are universal. And if you cannot prove to me that ethics are universal, then your argument for ethics wouldn't matter.
That's not directly.
Not directly.
And you just went over what I was saying. Like, if you were to debate off morals, you would still yet again have to prove that human rights exist because human rights depend on morals and vice versa. All right. So you need to prove to me that human rights exist before we can even move at all.
Okay, so therefore, what I'm saying is that I feel like a debate on the ethics of this thing wouldn't work because ethics are not universal.
Not directly, because let's say that they aren't.
You would still be able to debate that or not.
Okay, well, can we set a universal ethics that we think are more by our morals?
Could we?
Yeah, me and you. Just like, what are some things that violate our morals?
I mean, this is unimportant from the topic.
Well, it is, because if it violates your morals, then how can you go by that system?
Well, yet again, morals would have to be universal. Before you can prove to that system.
If you set the human rights in this hypothetical, you're the government and you make the rules.
All right.
So now you would have to set a certain amount of rules and certain rules that you couldn't infringe, because then you'd be a hypocrite and the system wouldn't work.
All right. Let's say you did. Yet again. Human rights would have to disappear when the government disappears unless they were built into morals. Of which human rights aren't built into everyone's morals, because morals aren't universal. Therefore, you cannot prove to me that we're originally going off of is death ethical? Is death by government ethical?
Sure, it may be
tyrannical,
but
but
in
in
wartime,
wartime, we're trying to prove if it's ethical or moral or not.
Of which to do that,
yet again,
you would need to
prove to me
the
the existence of human rights.
And
You just said, all right, well,
if there's a government, there would be
human rights because
at least they can
enforce
it.
it. Yes, that's true, but the goal is to immediately go into anarchism, meaning that the
human
human rights would not.
No,
stay.
we're talking about the transition period. Because my claim originally was that if a ideology realistically requires death, then it is unethical.
All right. We're going off the transition.
We're going off the transition as you just said, right?
If that's true,
if that's true, that's great.
Because that just helps me here. All right. Can you still hear me?
I can.
All right. Good. So human rights.
All right.
You just said it here.
All right.
Human rights would be decided by the government,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the government can decide if the government
killing someone
is unethical
and unmoral.
You're right, they can.
Then that flaws your argument.
No, it flaws your argument because you said that you want to go.
No.
So we're talking about in the transition period, right?
Yes. All right.
Yes.
This is how it would flaw your argument. Because if the government decides
what morals are, because people cannot come up on a universal morals, they make it a common moral.
Let's say the
government decides. All right.
And they decide
what
human rights
are.
All right, screw it. I'm just going to turn on that. All right, let's say they decide what human rights are. Then you would have to prove to me
that what they decide
is wrong or
right.
Because if they decide that we can kill someone because they don't have the right to live. If you cannot prove to me that is unethical, because then you would have to prove it's by human rights, and you agree that human rights are decided by the government.
Code.
What'd you say?
You could use the majority to set an ethical code.
Could use a majority to set an ethical code. No. Not in this transitionary state. In this transitionary state, it is not a democratic state.
You're right. It's authoritarian.
Then you could not use a majority to decide it.
And that's why it's unethical. Well, that's why it's immoral.
How is that immoral?
That's why it's immoral. How is it immoral?
Yeah.
Because it goes against human rights.
But if the human rights were decided by the government, then it couldn't be immoral.
No, then it couldn't be ethical. What I'm saying is that whether it's ethical or not doesn't matter. If it's moral to the majority is what it matters, because it's moral to the most amount of people.
No, you literally said this earlier, and you're going back on your claim now. You said that the transitionary government would decide human rights, because human rights cannot just be created by an unethical force. It would have to be created by a power, a tyranny. So therefore, human rights could only exist with a transitionary government, and you agreed with me on that. Meaning that let's say the government decides it.
Are we arguing on the fact that you need human rights to be moral? You don't need human rights to have set morals.
You don't need to, but you need it to have ethics, and that's what we're arguing off of here.
Yeah, but I also think that why should ethics matter instead of the majority of people? Because ethics are set by the government, which can be immoral.
Yes.
If the government says, hey, we're going to mass murder all Jews because we want to, and we're going to make that a law, that is ethical, because those Jews no longer have the right to life, right?
But there wouldn't be any rights because
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So during a transitionary period, if they said, hey, we want to kill all people that are Jewish, they can do that because the government has that power during that transition period.
Let's say they did, all right? Then sure. What is your problem here? Obviously, I would not support that. But for sake of the argument, you would have to prove to me what would be wrong with that. Like obviously, there's stuff wrong with it, but you cannot prove that without human rights. Like the reason it was wrong in World War II was because we have international human rights decided by federal governments, of which all governments agreed on except one.
Okay, in a transition period, the world isn't in global communism.
Not exactly. It's random.
It's random if it is or not. Like
it could be, but
it also couldn't.
Here, give me a minute.
I need to test something. My brother may be coming, so. But you think of it. What you're gonna say real quick while I check.
What are you doing? Alright, I'm good. So back to our argument.
Okay, so I'm going by the claim now that this debate on ethics cannot be won by you because it does. Well, it could be won by you, but the set rules that we have for ethics doesn't make sense.
The set rules that you have for ethics can't physically be decided by a person. It has to be decided by human rights, which we both agree that the human rights can be set by the government.
Yeah, a person can decide if you want to live or not.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I'm saying that the debate on ethics, instead of basic morals that we live by today, that we could both agree on, is wrong.
I mean, it's not universal, meaning that it wouldn't be right or wrong, but it most certainly wouldn't be right. Like I don't see where you're going with this. Like, all right. I'm gonna go over this again. All right. So ethics cannot be decided without human rights. Yes.
Yep.
Human rights cannot be decided by some random person. It has to be decided by the government, by a government, right?
Well, a government can be ran by a certain person, I guess, yeah.
Yes, but it would still take a group of people to set it.
A
massive group of people. So during this transitionary government, the government would be able to set the human rights, right?
Yeah.
Then therefore they control the ethics, and since ethics correlate with morals, and so does human rights, they would also partially, mostly, in fact, control morals.
Which is why I disagree with the transition period. The government should be able to say, hey, we want to kill all the Jews, or hey, we want to kill all the atheists, and then take military action. That's why I disagree with the transition period.
But you have to tell me what's wrong with that.
It's against my morals.
But your morals cannot be used in an argument because they aren't universal. Unless you can prove your morals.
Ethics that are set today.
Would you say sorry? You were lagging out for me.
That are set today.
You lagged again here. Let me listen on my computer to make sure it's not just my phone. All right, what did you say one final time? Sorry.
It is against ethics that are set today. We cannot debate ethics if we do not use a set moral code or a set of human rights. So we have to set it from what we have today. And today, okay.
That set of ethics and morals would be the nationalized religion, so it would depend upon that religion.
We're talking about the transition period.
Well, yeah, but religion would be prominent within that.
Well, yeah, but it would have to start with the government. The religion would take it on later, but it would be started.
Religion would be the morality of the government.
I mean, sure. I mean, yeah, it's technically, but
no, the morality of the government would be set by religion.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said.
I thought he said the other way around.
Unless it's like the Roman Catholic Church that only, like, for example, let people worship God by coming to church and not letting them read their Bibles. If we did let them read their Bibles, then they would probably be able to revolt back if anything was broken within them.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Alright.
Okay.
So are we gonna continue debating ethics, or are we gonna go on to a different topic, or are we gonna leave this for a second debate part? Most likely, because
Yeah, let's leave
right
this
now
for-
we're just in a loop.
We can move on to how much it works.
How much it works, like how well it works.
No, to how much it has worked in the past.
I mean, we wouldn't
We
directly.
brought up the theocracy has worked in the past.
I mean, we wouldn't directly need to prove that it's worked in the past multiple times. You would just need one provement or proving. We would just need to prove it once, if that's what you're wondering or saying.
I guess so. What should we debate now?
I mean, I'm gonna check the source again to see. Which we can't really debate what we want to, which is like has it worked in the past? Because I can't find an active source. I mean, you can check real quick and see if you can find a source for your side. But all the sources that I'm finding are at least 4 years old. Most being about 7 years old. So I think we definitely need to reschedule this. Neither of us had enough time to prepare. As we could not find common sources, and then definitely for the ethics, I'm gonna need to come up with a more clear argument. But I think we will have to do this again.
All right. So when should part 2 be?
I'd say. How about Friday next week?
All right.
I mean, that gives us plenty of time to prepare.
Yeah.
All right. We'll finish discussing this. Good
job.
Yeah. Goodbye.